everyone, it's Molly here again for another Storytime video because I love telling stories and you guys seem to be liking this new series on my channel, so I thought I'd just go with it and tell you about the time that I almost broke my neck. If you didn't know, my full-time job is as a motivational speaker. If you want to learn more about that, my website is at the top of the description box, mollyburke.ca. There's tons of information on there. But yes, that's my full-time job. I get to travel the world and speak to audiences big and small, sharing my life story with them, and I love my job. But this day was not my favorite day ever. I was still working for Blvd at the time. This was actually almost exactly 2 years ago. So my 22nd birthday was on Monday, February 8th. And this happened about 2 weeks after my 20th birthday. And I think the exact date it happened was February 21st, 2014. I'm not totally sure, but I think that was the date that it happened. So yeah, almost exactly 2 years ago this happened. This was my last year with Blvd, and honestly this was probably a big part of what triggered me to leave. Not that it was their fault, but I'll get into that. Anyways, so this day I had two speeches. I had two keynote speeches at the same school out in Scarborough. So I lived in downtown Toronto and so did my assistant. We got in our car, drove out to Scarborough, like maybe a half-hour drive, not even. And we're at this high school. And basically it was an auditorium set up, so they didn't have enough room in the auditorium. I think they maybe only had like 200, 300 seats, which wasn't enough room to have all the students they wanted to see me speak sit in one speech. So they had planned for me to do two speeches at the same venue, and they would just bring in different kids for each speech. And every speech I do, no matter where it is, no matter what it's for, I have a sound check, which is usually about half an hour to an hour before my first speech. And that is when I have my time. My assistant checks out the audio-visual component to make sure that the PowerPoint's working and everything. I check out my mic, I check out how much space I have on the stage to work with, I walk out my steps so I know where everything's laid out. I figure out where the screen is, so when I'm pointing to it, I'm not pointing to the wrong spot. I talk to the person who's introducing me, all that kind of stuff, and just make sure everything's ready, set to go, and my speech will go smoothly. So we get there, we check out the audio-visual, everything's good, and now it was time for me to do my stage walkthrough. So usually what would happen is my assistant would go up on the stage first, she would count out the steps out loud for me, kind of give me a brief overview of what the stage layout looked like, and then I would go up and I would walk it. I would never bring my guide dog up for this point with me because I liked having both hands free in case I wanted to touch things with my hands and just have the freedom to move and explore without having the dog with me. So at this point, I don't know what had happened. Like she had explained the stage to me, but I have literally been on thousands and thousands of stages throughout my life. I've been public speaking, acting, singing, and dancing since I was 5 years old. I've been on a lot of stages. I've never been on one like this. So I don't know if like her description of it just wasn't matching up in my head, but something happened where I didn't quite understand what she was saying. So basically, you know, a lot of stages, they'll either have back access, so I go up into the backstage area and I come on from backstage. Or if they have stairs at the front, typically the way it is laid out is that you walk up the stairs at the side and then you walk straight onto the stage and the stage just continues on along. No problems. But I don't know what flawed design they had. It was very flawed. There wasn't a backstage access and there wasn't stairs at the front. The way it was set up is like the front of the stage was literally flush with the walls on the side. Like there was no way to get onto the stage. Bizarre. So what they had done was like makeshift stairs out of risers. So yeah, they had this staircase where you'd walk up the stairs and there'd be a square platform. And then once you're standing on the square platform, you'd have to turn to your left and take one more step up, and then you were on the actual stage, if that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining that. Oh, all right. So basically, I was like, great, got it, I'm gonna come up onto the stage. And my assistant at this time had her back turned to me because she was just finishing walking out the steps across the stage to tell me how long it was. So she had her back turned to me when I started walking up the stairs. And like I said, I don't bring my guide dog up at this point when I'm trying to walk out my space. So I was just walking up these stairs on my own. And I got to the top of the stairs and just assumed, like most stages with front stair access, that the stage just went straight across. Like I said, that was not the case. So I stood there on that top of that platform and I just kept on walking straight. I did not turn left and step up onto that last part. I just kept walking and walked straight off. And this stage was about 5 feet tall. I'm only 4'10.5", so this was a very tall stage. I'm sorry, I keep playing with my hair, it's annoying me too. So I literally walked straight off, and because where I should have turned left, that's where like the stage is, my knee hit the actual stage on the way down, my left knee, which pivoted my body to the right. So when I landed on the ground, I landed on kind of like my right hip, shoulder, back kind of area. And that's how I landed. And immediately, like, the 5 or 6 people that were in the room at the time, thank God it was only 5 or 6 people in the room, because this would have been way more embarrassing if it was the whole room. This is why I do sound checks. And they all rushed over, surrounding me. My dog was all concerned, and I was just so embarrassed, and I was in so much shock. I was like, oh, I'm fine. They're like, don't get up. And I was like, seriously, I'm okay. It's not a big deal. I'm fine. Like, let's not make a big deal of this. And yeah, I was like, no, I'm fine, it's fine. So they sat me up, they brought me over to the stairs, I sat down, they brought me an ice pack because I already had like a bump on my knee and a bump on kind of like my hip area. I was definitely, you could already tell that I was tender, I was going to be bruising pretty quickly. But other than that, I was kind of just in shock, to be honest. Like, I was just really not expecting this to happen, so I was just in total shock. And I drank some water, some deep breaths, and literally my speech was, 5 minutes later, so I just had to be ready. So I did my speech. I had my assistant walk me up onto the stage with my dog. I was set. I had one of them on each side. I was not falling off again. I did my first speech for an hour, my second speech was an hour, and then I was done for the day. And honestly, it was so embarrassing, but at this point, I was kind of like laughing at myself. Like, I just thought it was kind of funny. Like, the ultimate blind girl moment, ultimate blind girl problem had happened to me. Who else is gonna walk straight off a stage? Me. So I called my boyfriend Matt at the time. If you're a longtime viewer, you know all about Matt. If you're not and you want to find out more and you want to creep our relationship and our breakup, I'll link that playlist down below. But I called him. I was laughing about it. He started laughing about it. Like, after he made sure I was okay, of course. My assistant started laughing at it because I was laughing at it, and it just kind of became like a joke. I just didn't think it was a big deal. Other than the fact that it was embarrassing and I had a bruise. No big deal. I went home, just like I lived on my own in downtown Toronto, but just like every night, I called my parents to see how they were doing and how their day went, tell them about my day. I told them, and immediately they were both concerned. So my mom asked my dad, who worked about 15 minutes away from me, on his way home if he could check in on me. So he came over. I was honestly starting to feel a bit sick at this time and really exhausted. So he was like, I'll take Gypsy out for a walk for you. You just rest. He made sure everything was okay and then went home. And my mom called and she's like, look, I'm gonna come see you tomorrow morning. Get a good night rest. I'll be there when you wake up. So because I wasn't feeling well, I took Gravol, which for those of you who might not know, Gravol is like an over-the-counter nausea medication. So I took a Gravol, and this stuff knocks you out. Like, you're out cold when you take Gravol. So I went to sleep and was in a really deep sleep. And because it was like a medicine-induced sleep, I was really groggy. But I can remember rolling over in the middle of the night and kind of in a half awakened state being like, oh man, I have this really bad pain in my neck. I must have slept on it funny, like I must have a crick in my neck. But I just didn't think much of it until the next morning when my mom came in. She used her key to the apartment, came in, woke me up. I sat up and I was in excruciating pain. I could not turn my head to the left. My entire shoulder and neck were shooting pains up into the bottom of my skull. And I knew something wasn't right. But I was still like, no, I'm fine, it's fine. It's just like I slept funny, I'm fine. But my mom was like, we need to get you to emergency room. Like something could be seriously wrong. So I called my bosses. I was like, look, I can't come in. I'm in really bad pain. I need to go to the emergency room. We decided not to go to one in Toronto because it would be so busy. So my mom drove me out to Oakville, where my family's from. Went to the emergency room here. They got me in really quick. And the doctor felt all the way up kind of my spine and my neck, all of my bone structure. You know, does this hurt, does this hurt, does this hurt? Everything felt fine. But then when he started touching my neck, it was all swollen. It did not feel like a normal neck or shoulder. When he touched my shoulder, instead of feeling bone, it was like a layer of like liquid was kind of over top of it. And same with my neck. It was kind of like squishy, like too squishy. It didn't feel right. And he sent me to an osteopath. And immediately the osteopath and the doctor agreed that basically what had happened was I ripped all of these small muscles off the left half of my neck, off the bone. So the way they explained it to me is my body's instinct, in that split second that I am falling, my body's instinct is don't crack your head open, don't break your neck. Especially because it was a linoleum floor, like this was a hard surface. So when my body pivoted to the right and my mind kind of knew I was going to land on my right side, it was like, you need to wrench your head to the left so you don't hit it. So my neck had to work really hard to pull the weight of my head against gravity's force to the opposite side. And in doing so, all of the small muscles just ripped right off. And so now that's why I didn't have much movement in my shoulder or my neck on that side, and I was in severe pain. I ended up having to see an osteopath every day for weeks. I was in a neck collar to keep my neck steady and stable. The smallest movements would hurt my neck. It was absolutely brutal. Just like my mom pulling to a slow stop in the car, that slow movement to a stop would just send shooting pains through my body. It was awful. And as soon as my physical side started to heal, and I can tell you, wearing a neck collar to speeches and stuff was so embarrassing. I would try to like wrap an infinity scarf around it and be like, no, I'm fine, it's just a fashion statement. It's not a fashion statement. It was not cute. But once the physical side was starting to heal and I was able to stop taking my pain medication and take the neck collar off, I was like, great, I'm good to go, everything's gonna be fine. But unfortunately, it seemed like once the physical side of things started to heal, that's when the emotional side of things started to kick in. That was a loud phone. And basically what I mean by that is severe anxiety and kind of like a PTSD type of situation. So I am considering doing a similar style video to my Living with RP video, a Living with Anxiety video, and kind of my experience and journey with anxiety. So if that would be of interest to you, definitely thumbs this up and let me know, because I'd be more than happy to talk about my journey with anxiety. I know it's kind of, to some people, still a taboo subject, but it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that affects a lot of people, and so I'd be more than willing to share that experience with you. And this situation, this accident, is absolutely what triggered it for me. So yeah, basically that's my story. That's what ended up happening, and I ended up having to take a 6-week medical leave after, and it was pretty horrible. It was, you know, now I can look back and I can not only laugh at the situation, but I can also see some of the positives that situation gave me, and I can get more into that side of things in my video about anxiety. But all I can say to you is, if you get in an accident, big or small, get checked out. Make sure you're okay. You never know. And what I didn't realize at the time, and what I do realize now, is the reason I wasn't feeling that pain right off the bat is because if I had damaged bone, if I had cracked a bone or something, yeah, that pain would have happened instantly. But because this was muscular tissue damage, apparently what the doctor said is you don't feel the full effect of that kind of injury until 24, even up to 48 hours after it happens, which is why I wasn't in excruciating pain until the next day. And that's why I was fine to go on and do my speeches. But hindsight 2020, what I have learned is that I should not have done those 2 speeches. I should have told him I'm sorry, I've just injured myself, I've just fallen, I cannot do this. And gone to the doctor right away. So now I know, now I've learned, if that situation ever happens again, which I take a lot of precautions to make sure it doesn't, but if it does, now I know what to do, now you know what to do, and if you are also blind or visually impaired, definitely comment down below and let me know what your biggest blind moment has been, or what your biggest blind accident has been. And even if you're not blind or visually impaired, just tell me down below, let me know what's your biggest embarrassing moment, or a big injury that you've gotten, or a workplace accident that you've been in, something along those lines. Definitely let me know. If you'd like to see more Storytime videos, subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Also give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!